YouTubers, Allergic Adventures here with my monthly vlog or channel update video for the month of October. Been a busy month here in my household. First want to thank everybody who sent kind words of support and everything like that after I shared that my wife had been in bad health. She has definitely improved, which is taking the stress off. Doesn't help that I've also found out that I need to cut down some of the types of food that I eat, but that also explains some of my tiredness lately. So these things come along and you have to deal with them. Alright, on with the rest of the video. You don't need to dwell too much on that. Now, other pickups that do have quite a bit of a mishmash of stuff. Now, one of the items, which hopefully is working okay, because it is easier to use this webcam, even though it's on top of my monitor, so it is very difficult to look at directly anyway, is a microphone on a nice pivot stand, which I'm going to move at the moment, so hopefully I don't mess it up. So there's the microphone there. It does seem to be working okay. I've used it to record I think one gameplay as a test, and it does seem to be working okay. So there's one pickup for the month. It wasn't very expensive. I got it from, I think, banggood.com, and came with the this extensible stand thing as well. So it's attached to the desk in front of me. So it's actually very useful. First piece of video, first piece of equipment to help me make the videos I've got for quite some time, just to spruce it up a little bit. Now, other pickups. Sorry, I've got items here ready to go. Now, I'll actually start with some of the Blu-rays of the month. I've started doing that in the last couple of videos, so I thought I might as well cover them. So the one that I got right at the start of the month, I don't think I covered in last month, was X-Men Apocalypse. We did actually see that at the pictures as well, but that was a little while ago. Watched that, really enjoyed it. It has one of the best 4 minutes in any movie, which is Quicksilver's little routine when he saves everybody, spoiler, out of the mansion. Actually really enjoyed that movie and enjoyed it again watching it on Blu-ray. Another one that came out last month was Independence Day Resurgence. No, it's in a special slipcover or anything. It didn't cost me any more than the other one. I didn't see this at the pictures. I did enjoy watching it, but I wouldn't say it's my most favourite movie. That's an example. But saying that, we have watched the original Independence Day again, and it's not without fault either. It was enjoyable at the time, back in the day, because of the special effects and things. And this was, I enjoyed watching it, but does it compare to this? Not really, no. So it's an okay movie if you like that sort of thing, but as long as you go into it without too high expectations, it's alright. I don't think it was let down by some of the acting and, I think, story in a lot of ways. But obviously it's a fairly far-fetched thing anyway. Now also, with two of my daughters, I went to the people who run the AI con down here. They have a geek market. So we went along and had a look. Now most of the market was animation type stuff. And I've just remembered another pickup that I probably should brought out. I bought an anime movie, which was quite good. We've watched that. And one of the vendors actually had a couple of video games. One of them is a Let's Dance title for the Wii, which I got for my daughter. And with that, so I got both of these all-inclusive for $10, was Spyro the Eternal Night. Now I do have the other Spyro game for PlayStation 2, so this is really good finding a game. And this is, not a cheap game, and it's in good condition. So I'm very pleased with getting that. Oops. and loosen the case. So in very good condition. Obviously not going to do a gameplay of that one. And on that same day we walked to the local collectibles store, and they had some Mega Drive games out. I mean, they had some Master System games, some NES games, and Mega Drive games out in a bin sort of thing. Not really on special, but just a few there. And I saw one I hadn't seen before, which is Crackdown. I haven't had a chance to play this, and I really am behind on doing gameplays at the moment, so I will do a gameplay of that when I get a chance. So I haven't had a chance to play it, but it looks maybe interesting. I don't know anything about this game. It is complete, but it is an X-rental, so I do have some rental stickers to get off, but for once they're not on the label. And these stickers do come off. You've got to peel them off, and then you've got to use some rubbing alcohol to get the rest of the sticky bits underneath off. So actually, you know, that was a good little outing for the day. It was actually very cold and rainy otherwise, but I mean, you know, it was an excellent outing with my girls, and they enjoyed it. And my youngest bought a pack of 100 Pokemon cards, so she was happy. And my second eldest, which is the other anime fan in the family, bought a couple of pieces of jewellery and things like that. So, also during the month, I got this with a special sticker on it at my local EB Games. So it's actually all of the Command & Conquer series. It's only a download code, but it was only $12. I do have a lot of the early games on physical copies, but they're actually very hard to play nowadays, and I haven't played all of the later games. So these ones just get added to, I think, their origin codes, so I just add them to my origin interface, download them, and gradually playing them all the way from the beginning all the way through, but I'm doing it on a modern PC, so a really good way of doing that. So sort of got a physical copy, no disc, so a bit different, but it was cheap. It was only $12. Now we got two Kickstarter top projects. Sorry, the first one is very heavy. Very pleased to get this one. This is from Pat the NES Punk, and it's the Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library by Pat Contry. Now this is an extremely thick tome, and the quality is very, very good. You can tell why it took so long to put this together. Sorry. Now it also is very text heavy, but it has a reasonable balance of screenshots. The background is usually the box art, and there's a picture of the cartridge up there as well. And there are, you know, there's a couple of bits of text about the game, and it's basically a description and a bit of an opinion on each of the games. I haven't read through all of it yet, but this is really good because a lot of these, the NES, I'm not as familiar with, because obviously being in PAL territory, especially Australia, we didn't get to see the NES, you know, in as much quantity or detail down here. We're all basically a Master System area. So, not that I'm collecting for the NES anymore, I'm collecting for the Famicom, but most of the games, obviously, there is more Famicom games than there are NES games, so all of these games in here will have some sort of a Famicom version. So, put that book down, very good. So I've been reading through that slowly. Also, the other Kickstarter type book that I got last month as well was Colicchio, the official book. And I got the hardcover version. It's a nice little book. I have read it. As part of the Kickstarter thing, I got the electronic version as well, so I actually read the electronic version and the hard one. You know, it is of reasonable quality. It's got a personalised message in there as well. And inside, it's of quite decent quality. Now, I have seen some people hold up pictures of the softcover one, and the cover does tend to curl up a little bit. It's a bit thin, but the hardback is definitely very good quality. Now, I'm not sure, but I believe you may still be able to get copies of this. As far as my rating on this, I think it's quite well written. It is the history of Colicchio. It is not just about the Colecovision. I mean, obviously it's leading up to the Colecovision, but it's talking about the history of the company, Colicchio, more so than the console. I would say the first 3/4 of the book are written very well. The quality does drop off near the end. There is probably far too much room devoted to the chameleon and the mess that ensued. That probably wasn't really necessary for this book. There are some very nice interviews in the back of this, though. They're worth it. So, on the whole, well worth it. Very well written, and very much great to have all this information collated together. Right. Next, I'd like to move on and answer a tag, which I'd like to do. Now, this one, now my good friend Lactobacillus Prime, or Mark as he's known, answered this tag. He was directly tagged by Router the Highlander, but the Highlander himself was tagged by somebody else, so I really don't know the exact origin of this tag, but I'll link to both Router's and Mark's videos down below. And the question asked was, what are your top 5 worst games you have played? You don't have to have them in your collection or currently at the moment. It's talking about games you've played. Now it's very hard to choose top 5 lists, so often I'm a very tactile person, so I do like to choose stuff out of my collection. So I've chosen 5 games, and I have spread the love around a little bit. Now these are in no particular order, so it's not a countdown or a count up. I'm just going to do them in the order here, although probably this first one, I have actually selected 2 MSX titles here, was a very, very big disappointment. So it's a game made by Konami. Well, it's got the Konami name on it for the MSX, and all the other Konami games were just such good games and of such good quality. This one was written by a third party. That's actually Green Beret. I don't have a perfect copy, but with a cardboard cover like this, I'd be lucky. And like actually a lot of the Green Beret conversions back in the day, sorry, it's not that good. On first appearances it looks okay, but as soon as you start playing it, it's dreadful. It really, really is dreadful. It is completely unplayable. And it's definitely done by somebody who was trying to convert some Spectrum code over. And for that, from a game with Konami on its name, is completely unforgivable compared to the other Konami games written for the MSX, which were written so well to the hardware. So it's held up as one that is completely inexcusable, and the game could have been so much better on the machine. And it's just an awful game. You basically go along. It's incredibly jerky, and unplayable. I've never been able to get very far in the game, even with infinite life chips. Now, the next game, well, this is one of my favourite arcade games. It is for the MSX, and I never saw this version back in the day because there didn't seem many copies in Australia. But I got this expecting it to be, say, a little better than the Coleco version. And interestingly enough, the Coleco version actually plays better. What game am I talking about? I'm talking about Time Pilot for the MSX. Now, it does look okay, and it's got reasonable sounds, but it just does not play anywhere near as well as the Coleco version. And considering the MSX has more memory, and I'm not saying the Coleco version is perfect, I'm sure that one could actually be done better as well. And this is shown up by a game by Acosoft, which is a tape-based game. I believe it has a little bit of speech in it, but it's a far better version of Time Pilot than the official version from Konami. And also, sacrilege with this one, it only has 4 stages. It doesn't have the UFOs either, so it's just all round a disappointment. Alright, so next we move on to Donkey Kong for the Atari 2600, made by Coleco themselves. And it's even got a screenshot on the back that is absolutely nothing like the game. So you see those platforms, they've got leans and stuff like that on them. The actual 2600 version has completely flat platforms and looks absolutely nothing like Donkey Kong. Now I know the 2600 you know, has hardly any RAM and it's difficult to do these sort of things, but still, this really is an atrocious version of Donkey Kong. And by the way, this is the packaging, that how it came out in Australia, one of the Hess titles. So, those interested in where that package comes from, they're not familiar with. Now I'll do one more retro, and then I've picked out one modern one, which I've just dropped on the floor. Now this is for the Sega Master System, which I also am quite fond of, because in a way it's related to the MSX machines, so it gets a lot of love from me, and I have mostly collected I haven't got a full set of Sega Master System, but I stopped because the prices started getting a bit silly, and yeah, my focus drifted elsewhere. But anyway, I have quite a large Sega Master System collection, and this game, out of all of them, is easiest the worst game on the system, the Flintstones. It is a mishmash of mini games, and all of them are not very good at all, basically. So it's lots of little mini games trying to be lots of things. Sort of looks colourful, but the collision detection's terrible. It's unclear what you have to do at any one stage, and just in general, it's a terrible game. Didn't enjoy it. Have hardly played it since I first got it. Now, excuse me while I retrieve the game that fell down. Now, I am a big lover of the movies Alien and Alien, so the whole Alien series. I have played quite a lot of Aliens video games, and this is the sequel to a game that I really liked on the PS3. A lot of people are going to know what this game is, and it is Aliens Colonial Marines. I don't normally pay attention to reviews and things like that, but I heard everybody panning this game and everything like that, so I didn't buy it to start with. Then one day I found it on special. It was well under $20, and I thought, well, I'll get it and I'll play it for myself and see what other things. And I started playing it. It is full of bugs. The half of the stuff you're doing in it doesn't make sense. The game is completely and utterly broken, and considering I played it well after everybody else, obviously they never patched it or anything like that to make it any better. It is nothing like the other games that are in the series. So, yes, a bit of modern-ish stuff there. Anyway, that was a fun tag. They're my top 5 worst games. What are your top 5 worst games? Feel free to do your own video response, or type your 5 down below, and make sure you go check out Mark and Ruda's videos with their responses as well. They picked some quite interesting games. Completely different from my answers. I tried to be a little different too. Alright, so we'll do a quick homebrew update. Now, obviously still haven't had a lot of time, but I have managed to make some minor progress on Cavern Fighter for the Colicchio. I fixed some bugs, I've done some work on the title screen, and I've been adjusting some of the graphics. So that one's getting fairly close, and I think I can get that one out to what I'd call beta in another couple of weeks. I've also done some more work on my tools, so my MSX tile and character editor. I've added the ability to save files in as compressed bytes. So quite literally you can edit your sprites and your tiles, save the file out, include that in your assembly project, and you don't have to worry about it taking up a lot of space. So haven't actually released a new version of that out there for you guys. I just want to add a couple more options in there. Now I've added the Pleta compression algorithm at the moment. There's another one called Dan1 for those of you who are familiar with this sort of stuff and the forums. I'm going to add Dan1 and a couple more save options so it remembers how you saved it last in your project. So it will automatically select that one, just little things like that, and it makes it easy for people to use. So, and the download link for that's available on my website for those that are interested, and I do cover it a bit in my Let's Make a Retro Game series. and for those people out there, there'll be another episode of that out in about a week's time. Now, one final thing, I have been also working on the NES version of Sydney Hunter. I have a new set of sprite characters. I'm just working on, I've taken the engine that I developed for the championship kart, split it out into a separate game file, and I'm putting the new sprites in it, and we'll have the working on the complete map and everything like that, and then I've got to adjust the engine for the extra abilities that Sydney Hunter has in comparison from the simplified game that I had in the championship kart to the more complex game that is the full Sydney Hunter game. So enjoying working on that as well. Berserk, haven't made any progress on this month, but once I finish Cabin Fighter, and depending on how long it takes to get the map data for Sydney Hunter, I'll be back to working on Berserk as well. Alright, that's probably enough prattling for me this month. I hope this microphone is perhaps a little clearer. We shall see. I thought I would use my actual Sony Handycam, but it doesn't have an AV in. I'll have to maybe at some stage get another camera that allows the audio to go in so I can get one feed going to the computer. So at the moment I'm using Open Broadcast to record this. So, and it is finicky with the microphone settings. So I'll work it out anyway. Alright, I hope everybody out there had an excellent month. Happy collecting and gaming. I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.